In this tutorial I'll be teaching how to play Come As You Are by Nirvana. This is a very popular song. There's many different ways to play it. And in this video I'll be teaching you the way that Kurt Cobain himself plays it. And I'm going to show you how to play it different ways if you want it, so you can make up your mind with however you want to play it. This tutorial is mainly meant for beginners, but I'm going to be adding in a lot of side notes meant for Nirvana fanatics and more experienced players, so hopefully the beginner players will just find that interesting. First things first, the tuning. It's important to not get hung up on the tuning with Nirvana songs. They really don't care, so there's no reason why you should. For instance, on the Nevermind album, In Bloom is in E standard, and this song, Come As You Are, is in D. However, when they play both songs live, they're both in D sharp. So right now my guitar is in D, but whatever tuning you're in, if it's standard or D sharp, whatever, it's fine, don't worry about it. For your amp settings, you want a clean tone with a chorus effect. Now this song has 4 parts to it: the main riff, the pre-chorus, the chorus, and the solo. I'm going to show you how to play all 4 of them, as well as a few other little things that'll probably appeal more to the Nirvana fanatics than the beginners. This is the main riff. The first part is played on just the 6th string. You just want to hit the open 6th string, then the 1st fret, then the 2nd fret. Now, keeping your middle finger on the 6th string, 2nd fret, just elevate it a little so it's not muting the 5th string, and then just hit the open 5th string, and then the 6th, then the 5th again, then the 6th again. Then again, on just the 6th string, you just go down now, from the 2nd to the 1st to the open. With your middle finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, now you want to just hit the 5th string, then the 6th string twice, then the 5th again. All together now, I'll play it slowly. Just a little side note here. In the beginning of the song, it actually starts off with an additional open 6th string. So instead of it opening like this, it actually opens like this. The pre-chorus riff is played like this. First, I'm going to show you the way that I play it, which might be a little more comfortable for a beginner. And then I'll show you the way Kurt Cobain plays it. Alright, the way to play it is like this. It's basically just an F-sharp power chord, muting the 3rd string and letting the 2nd and 1st strings ring out. Now, in case you forgot what a F-sharp power chord is, basically your pointer finger on the 6th string, 2nd fret, your ring finger, 5th string, 4th fret, and your pinky, 4th string, 4th fret. And make sure that the pinky is muting the 3rd string, and the 2nd and 1st strings are open. Make sure your index finger is curved, because you don't want it to be rubbing up against the 2nd or 1st string. They need to be open. Now with your pinky, however, you don't want it to be curved quite like that. You want your pinky to be touching the 3rd string, not pressing down on it where it sounds the note, just touching it where it's effectively muted. See, that's what we call a dead note. And also make sure your pinky as well isn't touching the 2nd or 1st strings. And this is how the rhythm is played. Basically, you just want to play the bass strings, the thicker ones here, and then you just play the whole thing like. That's the way Kurt plays it, but of course you can play it however you want. But that's typically what you want to do. For the other part of the pre-chorus riff, you're going to be forming what's called an A sus2 chord. Now basically that's an open 5th string. On the 4th string at the 2nd fret you have your pointer finger. The 3rd string at the 2nd fret you have your middle finger. And the 2nd and 1st strings are open. Now the way the rhythm is played is basically this. You just play the middle strings and then you play the whole thing. Now I'm going to show you the way Kurt Cobain plays it, the way he might play it, and the way other guitarists might play it. Kurt Cobain usually forms his power chords like this. He'll take his pointer finger, put it on the 6th string, 2nd fret, And then he'll take his ring finger and put it on the 4th frets on both the 5th and 4th strings. I prefer to play it like this with the pinky, but he plays it like this. Now if you want to play it like that, that's fine. It's just that, you have to mute the 3rd string and make sure that the 2nd and 1st strings are open, and playing it like this might be a little difficult. But play it however you want, and whatever is comfortable is fine. In other tutorials with Come As You Are, you might notice the guitarist playing like this. Instead of the 2nd and 1st strings being open, he might be fretting them at the 2nd fret. In order to do that, you have to bar the notes like this, have your index finger be straight. And it might sound something like this. That's not the proper way to play it. The way I know is because I've studied many Nirvana videos, and whenever Kurt gets to that part in the song, his index finger is always curved like this. The reason why it's curved is because he needs the 2nd and 1st strings to ring out like that, to be open. Now as for the second part of the pre-chorus riff, I told you to play an A sus2 chord. What Kurt Cobain might very well be playing is actually an A, which sounds like this. In case you're interested in learning, an A chord is the open 5th string, and the 3 fingers are all on the 2nd fret. Your pointer finger is on the 4th string, your middle finger is on the 3rd string, and your ring finger is on the 2nd string. And the 1st string is open. Now from the videos I've researched, I can't really tell if he's doing the A or if he's doing the A sus2. I think it's the A sus2, the original one I taught you. Because Kurt Cobain is a bit of a lazy guitarist, that's part of his charm. And I can't really imagine him going out of his way to play it like this just to get that open 1st string. So I think it's most likely the A sus2. But of course you can play it however you want, whatever sounds better, whatever's more comfortable. And another way to play the A sus2 chord is like this. That actually might be better because then you can just slide up from the F sharp to A. The way to play this version is you take your pointer finger on the 6th string, 5th fret. On the 5th string at the 7th fret you have your ring finger, and here on the 4th string, 7th fret, you have your pinky. And of course the pinky is muting the 3rd string and the 2nd and 1st ring out. Like I said, this is easier because now you're just basically just doing what you're doing over here on the 2nd fret, and you're sliding up to the 5th. Just a little side note here, this is the transition between the main riff and the pre-chorus riff. Basically you're playing the main riff for the last time, and then you just sort of play in E major here, and then you go into the pre-chorus riff. Now what that is you're playing the main riff, and when you're ending it, it ends like this. Then quickly make an E major, and then go into the pre-chorus. Now, in case you forgot, an E major is the 6th string is open. On the 5th string, you have your middle finger at the 2nd fret. On the 4th string, on the 2nd fret, you have your ring finger. On the 3rd string at the 1st fret, you have your pointer finger, and the 2nd and 1st strings are open. Now, in other versions, it might be a little more simplified. It might just be the first 3 strings, just with your pointer finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret like that, and you just play strings 3, 2, and 1. Or you could just be playing just the open 2nd, 1st. But, whatever sounds good to you. And now we come to the chorus riff. Add a little bit of distortion to your amp, and it sounds like this. Now basically that's just a B power chord and a D power chord. A B power chord is played like this. On the 5th string, you have your pointer finger on the 2nd fret. On the 4th string at the 4th fret, you have your ring finger. And on the 3rd string at the 4th fret, you have your pinky. And here, a D power chord is an open 4th string. On the 3rd string, at the 2nd fret, you have your pointer finger, and the 2nd string, at the 3rd fret, you have your middle finger. As for the rhythm, it's pretty straightforward. You know, B and D. Now, of course, the way Kurt Cobain plays it is like this. Same way I showed you how to play the B, only the ring finger is now covering the 4th frets on the 4th and 3rd strings. And of course, you can play like that if you want. And with the D, I noticed Kurt brings his thumb all the way around the neck like this. And I think the reason why he's doing that is because sort of now you can do these whole motions as opposed to just playing like this. And the reason why that's good is because you have your thumb up here and it's effectively muting the 6th string. So now you can just play the whole thing without getting that low E. And also when you do that, you're also playing the 5th string, the A string, but that's fine. In the D chord, the A is actually the perfect 5th, so it's very harmonic, so it's not going to make it sound bad. Now if you're looking for easier ways to play this riff, you can play it like this. Right here, the B I showed you. Now you can just take that and just slide it up to D. So everything you're doing is the same. You're just sliding it all up, just 3 notes. And another, I guess maybe even easier way is you can play it up here. So basically you do a power chord here at the 6th string, 7th fret, and you just slide it up to the 10th. I just switched guitars because I was getting too much fret buzz on my Ibanez. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to be playing with this Jackson guitar. Alright, this next section, this is a little side note just for the Nirvana fanatics, the ones who want to know everything there is to know about this song. So for the beginners, just bear with me for a minute. In the chorus section, there's also a second guitar part. It's clean toned. You can hear it, you just can't really hear what's being played. It's obscured by the distorted part. So I'm just going to do my best to show you what that is. Basically, it's a B sus4 chord and a D. I'm not sure what the rhythm is. I think it's something along these lines. It's something like that. There's also another version where, you know, the B sus4, you're barring the whole thing, and you're fretting the 9th fret. It's a pain in the ass. And I don't even know what the rhythm is, so I guess you could just fool around with that, and you know, whatever you come up with is whatever you come up with. You know, I forgot to mention, my other guitar was in D, and this one is actually in standard tuning. But like I said at the beginning of the video, it really doesn't matter. I mean, Nirvana is very inconsistent with these things, so there's no reason why you really need to, you know, bother with any particular tuning. And now finally we get to the solo. Now the solo isn't very difficult, you know, very typical of Nirvana. Basically, you just take your middle finger and you put it on the 3rd string at the 6th fret. Now really, it's just the 6th fret, the 9th, and the 11th. So it's not difficult. Make sure it's your middle finger that's there. The first part of the solo is played like this. See, it's just one simple part played 3 times. You hit the 6th fret, and then you move it to the 9th fret and you play the open 2nd string as well. Then again on the 3rd string you move to the 11th fret and you play again the open 2nd string with it. So it should sound like this. And now for the second part of the solo. At this part of the solo it's pretty easy, it's just this. On the 11th fret, you're supposed to bend it up 2 notes. And then you bend it back down, and then you go back down to the 9th fret. Now, if you're curious what 2 notes is, basically you want to bend it up until it sounds like 13. Like this is the 11th fret, this is the 13th. So bend the 11th till it sounds like that. That's pretty close. Now, when you're bending the 11th fret, also again, hit the open 2nd string with it. And and then just go back down to the 11th, and then now the 9th. Again, that's, and then you play the solo over again. In case you're wondering why I made such a big deal about making sure your middle finger is doing this instead of your pointer finger, is because you need to bend up there. And depending on your skill level, how strong your fingers are, you may not be able to do that here with your pointer finger. So just in case, play it like that with your middle finger. And of course, that's also the way that Kurt Cobain plays it. Okay, that's how the solo is played on the album and how it's typically played live, but you're probably thinking, what about the MTV Unplugged version? Well, on MTV Unplugged, it's played a little bit different. On that version, it's in D sharp tuning, and the first part is pretty much the same. The second part is different, however. There's no bending on the 11th fret. Instead, you slide up from 11 to 13. Also, remember to keep the second string ring throughout. Basically, on the 11th, you just slide up to 13, then back down to 11, and back down to 9. Now, the reason why he's not bending, why he has to slide, is because he's playing an acoustic guitar. And the strings on an acoustic guitar are much harder to bend than an electric, especially when you're trying to bend up 2 notes. So sliding is a pretty common substitute. I was in the middle of editing this video, and I forgot there's one little thing I forgot to teach you: the ending. This is pretty simple. I'm sure you could have figured it out for yourself, but still. The outro of the song is basically just the main riff played over and over again. And then the last 2 notes are this. It's the open 6th string, then the first fret on the 6th string, and then that F sharp I showed you before. The one where it's muting the 3rd string and the second first ring out. So the end of the song should sound like this. Okay, that's it for the guitar parts. In case you're curious what Chris Novoselic is doing during this whole time, I did a separate video for the bass parts. You can check that out. And feel free to leave any, positive feedback in the comment section.